Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe. Here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
And the legendary world of Conan.
Hello.
So today we're going to be doing two stories, but before we start, I'll ask, how are you feeling, Walk? Are you tired or energized?
Somewhere in the middle, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to admit I'm weirdly somewhere in the middle as well.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So we ended up leaving off with The Final Supper, which I thought was a really well-written story by Dan.
Yep.
I
Very well written.
I quite like that one. Ringen, I like, but this one I don't think is as good as the last one, to be quite blunt. I know I should be saying they're all the greatest story ever written, but I'd rather just be honest with people on my thoughts on these chapters or stories. How about you, Walk?
I liked it better.
Oh, really?
Also, I liked the next one as well as better. I liked these two stories more than I like these last two.
Oh, okay. That's good. All right. Well, we can't work together because we have a disagreement of opinion.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Some people on
That's
Twitter.
true.
There's a reason I don't live there on Twitter.
Yeah, it's crazy. People can't.
Yeah. Honestly, they scare the living bejesus out of me these days.
It's a dumpster fire.
No, I just mean seems like some of those people are possessed. But
oh, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
But the only wait, I gotta fix the mic. I just realized I did not yet plug this in. So apologies to everyone. This is why our audio is so bad. There.
I think it's pretty good.
All right.
How's this? Better?
The same. I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
But I just stay on Twitter because I like following Razor Fist. I think he's funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's good. If you follow good people or funny people, there's pretty good news and stuff like that. I like to check up on, like.
There's also a French media guy I like because he's just funny. He just trolls everyone in a French style. Just like he's like, well, the problem with the French is this, but you're French. Oh, why didn't someone tell me? I've been going through my entire life speaking this language and I never knew.
Yeah.
But he trolls like English people. He trolls Finns. He trolls everyone. He's a French Razor Fist. But anyways, now we start this story off. And in hindsight, the rock upon which the keep of his ancestors was built. That sentence. As the man himself was in it, as proud as any caliph. Now, the thing is, this paragraph starts pretty slowly. It's also interesting that, there's the rumor that a great elvish prince had raised the fort up in a primordial age. But Ringen doesn't believe in such stories. Actually, the idea there is to give the impression that there's not much the man believes in.
Right.
Like, I think I was thinking of King Vortigern from the Merlin 1998 movie, played by the excellent Rutger Hausen, I think it is.
No, there's no S in his name.
Oh, okay.
You mean Rutger Hauer?
Yeah, that's it. Rutger Hauer. I misremembered his name. I love that man.
He was in Blade Runner. He's a great.
He was also in Lady Hawk. I didn't.
Yeah, Lady Hawk. Yeah. Actually, I
didn't
haven't
get-
seen that. I don't know why I haven't seen that more.
I didn't like the soundtrack, but his performance in there is pretty haunting.
Yeah. Or you should see, if you love him, you should see The Hitcher. You ever heard of it? The Hitcher.
No.
He plays a absolutely awesome villain, like through the whole movie, and it has like a eerie quality to it, all the way. Like the ending, and it's like, was this real? Like it's so. It has that like mythical quality about it. It's very. You should check it. The Hitcher. It's really good.
Yeah.
He gives a really great acting. Like really.
I have to
well
admit,
forced.
I gotta admit, a part of me always wanted to write a story where he could have starred in that, but that'll never happen now. So
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty old already, so
yeah, it's just as a kid I saw him in Merlin, and I started to just hold him up and follow his career. Him and Sam Neill. I've always kind of
Sam is great.
Now, I don't know what you guys thought of the false superstitions are a poison for the spirit. Which I think they're. I was ironically, I think, thinking of something you had once told me, Walk, where it was about how the Norsemen used to hang their men alive as sacrifices to Odin. And I remember thinking false superstitions are a poison for the spirit, and the quote kind of made its way in here. So you're directly responsible and at fault for that quote.
Nice. Glad I could inspire greatness.
Well, but the other inspiration for this short story is the story of Macbeth. I think that's kind of.
Oh yeah, right. I didn't know why I didn't click that. Obviously, the haunting. It's kind of like a man going insane. The haunt.
Yeah.
He's haunted by basically his sins.
Yeah.
But Ringen. Well, I mean, Ringen had his role to play, but was he directly responsible for the murder of his brother and all the chaos that flew? I mean, he obviously, he made conflict, but he wasn't the one who killed his brother, right?
He's at fault for setting up the situation in a way. But the idea was he's not really responsible for someone wielding a knife against his brother. The idea was not to he's not responsible for that outright. He's not responsible for that.
Wasn't it Kettle who killed him? Or
yep. Kettle wielded the knife and killed Domhnall. Ringen had nothing to do with that. And the thing is, Ringen did want to be the next king, but if he had had it his way, his brother would have continued ruling for a bit longer because his brother was a useful idiot.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to take the heat away. You can kind of like rule from the shadows.
Yep. And the quote with Ringen going insane, I thought was a pretty good choice. Some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed.
Yeah, this is from Shakespeare, right? Richard.
That's from Richard II.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Good with the quotes.
We had to use the quotes as a direct foreshadowing into the story.
Actually, the quotes are great. I also really like the ending. What would you call them? Songs or?
Oh, the Song of Longstride. Because
but I mean, like every that you have these kind of songs at the end of every every story. I mean,
I have to admit it took me weeks to compose most of these songs.
I mean, it shows that they're really good.
Oh, thank you. This one in particular took me a long time. I remember coming back and forth from it, and also deleting parts, redoing parts. And I remember at one point with some of these songs, ironically, Dan. Usually, I nag Dan with writing, and he was the one going, "Did you finish the songs?" And I went, "Shoot," or I'd go, "Not yet." These were hard. Um, these were hard to compose, but they were fun. I enjoyed them.
And by the way, I was just going to ask a question. Why did Aina choose Ringen over her husband?
Hypergamy.
Was it just the basic seeing that Ringen was a stronger ruler? Man, basically.
Yeah. It was strength, because
Nicol had strength in him. He had arguably, in my opinion, he had the potential to be a great king. He did. And the trouble is Aina fell into lust, I guess you could say, for what she perceived to be someone stronger than her husband. Someone who is more ruthless, because Nicol is bound by honor. And
well, then he made a really bad choice in
his father made a bad choice for him.
Yeah, in a wife. Yeah,
because that was Domhnall's choice.
And Domhnall made his mistakes, and he did acknowledge that.
But here's the thing: Domhnall had very bad judgment.
Exactly, and yes, Ringen. Some of his a lot of his actions led to the death of Domhnall and Domhnall's sons. So
maybe Nasal. Oh, how do you say his name?
Nicol.
Nicol. Maybe Nicol should have just cut his losses. He was like, "I'm glad to be rid of this troublesome woman. Never liked her." Never liked her, and who cares? Like, let me marry someone actually decent.
Yeah, the trouble was nobody.
That was my only gripe with the story. At the end, I just wish the new king would have thrown her off the balcony. Basically,
yeah,
that was just like let's get this. Like, who's this? Like, how do you like get the right to like keep alive? No, but seriously, like I would have had questions like, so you've jumped over here, and you're alive, and your husband died in his sleep right next to you.
Yeah,
at least you're like a question mark, and a bad thing to keep around. Like at the worst, which you are is a murderer. So I would just throw. Like I would pick someone completely new, but I mean the new king was even more dumb. So I mean,
yeah, he's not very bright, and
he was really stupid. Who was he? Like who was his father?
His father was Mel Martin.
Oh yeah, he was Mel Martins. Yeah. I would think he would be smarter.
Yeah, like father, like son, but. I think with that king, he did do one smart thing. He imprisoned her in a convent.
Wait, didn't he take him as his wife?
No, he slept with her, but then she goes nuts, so he decides to just chuck her into a convent.
Oh. Right.
So, but that a lot of her fate we left ambiguous, and we're going to. Well, a later short story reveals she's been living in a convent for a while, haunted by the ghosts of those she slew. And
wait, was she the one in the next story then who basically leaves the convent? Wait, or am I
That would the convent thing would be is towards the end of the book. She's not going to pop up for a long time.
Oh no! I think I'm mixing up. She's not a focal point in the next story, right?
No,
No.
Aina is not.
No, it's another person from a convent, right?
It's one of the princesses, Isla.
Isla, yeah.
Yep. Isla is the daughter.
I was already thinking I mixed that. I was like, because I thought her character was pretty good, so I was like, oh no, have I mistaken her for Aina? Then I'm like,
Isla has the best quote in the story. She should be locked up in a brothel. A convent's too good for her.
Yeah.
Dan did that.
Nice.
But Isla, we also find out, is a bit of a shrew and nagging.
But she's in the next story, so yeah. We're still in the first story here.
Yep.
The man who thought himself king.
Yeah, because he's no true king. And
yeah, I find it interesting the how shouldn't he have like a lot of armies? It kind of seemed like all of it, or it happened quite fast that he became weak, or his armies became. That was like one question that I had, like, how did his armies become so weak at the end?
He never had full support of the entire country.
Oh.
But at the same time, Achaeus marches north, I believe, with the support from Britain, from England. So that the Khalids kind of roll back like a carpet before that threat, not wanting to get stomped. And they could resist, but the thing is, it would be difficult. And the thing is, Ringen has also not led an army in a few years. 1/3 of because there's Strathclyde in the southwest, which is basically Galloway, which that's a huge proportion of the kingdom. You have Strathern, and that's not exactly keen on him. You have Luthane, that's basically in revolt, and most of the army goes west with Padrig. Padrig has to gather most of the armies to go west. So while he's in the west, Ringen is without an army. So they threw everything against Luthane to take Rybert's fortresses and Mormerdom. And you also have the West Isles in revolt. So most of their armies are in the west when he's overthrown. So I hope that's a smart or not entirely stupid answer. Because Padrig has not yet led armies all that often before, and so this is really his first campaign where he's the supreme commander. So partway through the story, he gathers the royal troops, goes west, but Padrig proceeds to win battle after battle in a lightning campaign where he takes some of the most fortified fortresses in the entire kingdom, one after the other, in a matter of a couple of weeks. But then he makes a stupid mistake and goes south, battles with the Mormaer of Strathclyde, and gets himself encircled and captured. So Padrig's basically taken out of the game, and most of the royal forces of Ringen are wiped out. So Ringen is made weak.
Captive.
Yeah. Ringen is made weak because he poured everything into his son's Western campaign. And then his own health declines. As to Domhnall, he's sent with a portion of the forces elsewhere, I believe to the east. And Domhnall basically just ducks out. Domhnall's not a very competent general, to put it lightly.
Did he die?
No, he ducked out. He basically fled on a boat. He got to safety. Dweeb is the main one who, Dweeb rides off to his own lands, Fidak, and basically just hides out in his wife's castle. So basically, Achaeus rolls in. Most of the royal forces are elsewhere, are in disarray. There's no one to really resist, and Ringen's too weak.
So the king of Strathclyde, is that another country then?
That's partially another country. It's usually a vassal, but because you have a high king and an under king. So the under king of Strathclyde, and you have the high king of Caledonia. It's part of the kingdom traditionally,
right.
But it can break off. But the trouble is Ringen and his family have angered that kingdom. Ringen kidnapped and violated the princess of that realm and killed her. And in turn, they captured his son and killed him. So there's some bad blood. And I like Crowns and Blood, sold from Lucas Cavall.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
What a picture.
Let me see. I don't recognize it. But yeah, so but you have in turn Ringen, who has inherited a lot of the Domnalian administrative staff, I guess one could call it. Although they dare not, how shall I put it? They dare not wander off for fear. They don't like their new king. They fear him. And at the start of the story on page 56, Rybert, who is the son of Domnall, the only surviving son, who is the youngest, is sweeping out of Luthane, which is the westernmost province that's just next to it's kind of next to the Highland Mountains, here, I'll try actually showing it on a mountain.
If you have the map, put it up so it helps.
I can't find it. Okay, let me just give me 1 sec. I'll go Crimson. Let's see.
Did you say Dougal? But isn't he the Chamberlain?
Dougal is the Chamberlain.
Yeah, Dougal is the Chamberlain. Who were you talking about?
Well, Rybert.
Oh, Rybert, right.
Yeah.
Domnall's
youngest
son.
I think it's fourth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he has
too many kids.
He had 4 sons.
He should have gotten a vasectomy. I'm joking. Oh man, that was obnoxious of me. Okay, the map's taking a minute to load. Let me try a different file. Nope, not that file. Nope, that's England. What? My maps are not looking good.
Well, make one that looks good.
All right. No, it's just for some reason my image quality is not good today. But I found one. Found it.
You gotta share it.
Yep, sharing it now. Let's see. Hide. Okay, there. Let me go here. So let's see. We have up there the Kingdom of Norwind. This is the map from another book. So Ringen would be around, probably around here. Wait, probably around here. Luthane. Now you have the Western Isles. I should probably change this map a little when I get the chance. But you have the Western Isles, and you probably have Luthane around here.
What was the city name again of the High King?
Usually it's Skane.
Okay.
And the castle, the city where Ringen stays, is Cleom Craig.
Oh yeah, Cleom. Yeah, right.
He switched the capital because he didn't feel comfortable in Skane. So we have.
So where's that on the map?
Probably around here.
Right.
And we've got Luthane, where it's pretty much right here in the mountains, in this little area here, near the Nathrak River. And
you should put the cities on the map.
Yeah, the idea is there's not that many cities at this time.
No, but I mean like these, the ones that are in these stories. So that will
I'll have to do
to know.
Yeah, you're right. I'll have to.
That's what I usually do in a fantasy book. I'm just like, where are we? Looking at the city. Oh, that city. Okay, there. All right.
Fair. Yeah. So we have our noble prince there, but
so this would then be a kingdom of Caledonia, though. Just the whole middle part would be.
Yep. From this river here, to
the down.
Yep, all the way to the Lion River.
Right.
That's Caledonia. Strathclyde would be around here.
Yeah.
Strathern around this area. Strathern is a large mormarndom, almost the size of a kingdom. Yeah. And Strathern is a marcher land. It's why the Mormares there are so ill-tempered. And to them, any talk of anything other than the border with England or Britia is not worth their time, and they don't want to hear about it.
Mm.
But when you live on a very, on a border which always gives way to violence, you're not going to be terribly interested in anything else in life. Let me actually check that again. And they're on bad terms with probably around here would be the Mormare. I should actually start chopping up the Mormaredoms. I'll have to do that. And, they share a border also with the Fedoc, the Mormaredom of Fedoc, which belongs to Dweeb and the MacDweebs later. And they despise
Dweeb.
No, they despise him because he keeps... his lineage will end up opening the borders a few times.
The name's a bit unfortunate, Dweeb.
Yeah, because he's a dweeb.
He's a dweeb.
or you could pronounce it as doob, but
dub.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, we have Ringen, who basically doesn't like hearing about the matter of justice. Because he just wants to go out hunting, which was the golf of the Middle Ages. It's a shame we don't have rulers who hunt anymore.
He kind of reminded me of Robert Baratheon in that sense. Just want to hunt. Hunt and drink, basically.
Yeah, well, hunting was, like I said, the big sport back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't probably much else except games. Interesting
fact, most of our Finnish and French relatives are big on hunting. So it's something that's apparently a passion for a lot of French and Finns, from what I understand. At least the Finns over here. I don't know about the Finns over there in Europe. But as to we have in chapter 2 a seer who's brought to court because it's one of those things. Let's bring to court someone. This is on page 58. Let's bring a fortune teller, basically. But this is actually, I will admit, taken from the Heike Monogatari, a Japanese classic epic, where Japanese and samurai noblemen would ask to have a fortune teller brought in, a seer, so that they could just basically say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of them all. They do that sort of thing. They just wanted to,
Right.
cater to their own vanity. And the trouble is, in Japanese literature, it rarely ends well. Usually the seer says, "Oh, yeah, Jackson, you have a curse." And oftentimes that ends up with the poor seer just ending up dead, except for once or twice. And usually they're also Buddhist monks, so it makes it kind of unfortunate to kill them.
Those poor unfortunate souls.
Nice Disney reference. But yeah, that was the literary inspiration for that. And the seer ends up being someone who was brought forth from the Isle of Kanu. That's just southwest of the Great Isle of Kull. I hope you like the references, Walk.
Nice.
Thank you. But here's the interesting thing. Ringen says, how do you find the East? Quite different from your overly austere, monastic, and impoverished styles. Are they not? Now, this was because I've seen a lot of pictures of the Western Isles because I always wanted to go there. It's basically quiet farmland and riverside villages and whatnot. It looks really lovely. It looks like paradise. And I just simply thought, what would be the opposite opinion of mine? Because I look at those and I'm like, I want to see those churches. I want to see that Celtic countryside. I want to see those Celtic islands. I would love to go boating there. Ringen thinks it's just the height of boring, pathetic poverty, and that there's nothing good to be found there. So, I don't know what you think of Ringen's poor opinion of the countryside.
Where would that be? Like on the map?
That would be in the west. He's sneering at the Western Isles.
Yeah.
These.
Yeah.
And just wondering, why would you ever want to live there? It's just countryside.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of islands. But I think it's lovely.
Yeah. What does Ringen know?
Yeah. He's
He's dead.
Yeah. And of course, you've got the seer who says, "We are rich in fish and faith, which are all that man needs." I don't know what you think of that opinion.
Fish and what?
Faith.
Fish and faith. Fish and faith. Right. I'm not much of a fish person, but
yeah, I'm allergic.
But hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
I like the faith part.
Same. And his name is Brother Adam. I could not resist. From the book of Genesis.
I noticed you didn't include what he said. What he said to the king, right?
Where is that?
You didn't include it, right?
The prophecy.
The thing is that he made his prophecy, and then it switches to Patrick.
Oh,
yeah,
yep. The idea was to get the. I wanted to kind of leave that in the imagination of how that conversation kind of goes. I wanted to, like, rather than showcase, because I had the thought, would I imagine the state he enters into as a like the trance or whatever, the prophetic way he speaks. I thought I didn't know if I could write it as grand and as sinister and whatnot as what people could imagine. So I kind of thought it might be best that way. I don't know if you think that's stupid, but or a bad idea. I just figured it might be more interesting that way.
Either way is good. It depends what you want with the story.
Yeah.
It works.
Okay. But I don't know what you think of Adam needing to touch someone's hand to be able to predict his future. The idea is he needs to touch someone or an object of theirs to look into their future. And I thought that was it's because I've used that in another story, a French novel of mine, and I thought it'd be nice to keep it consistent and to make it a little different than how other people have prophecy work. Like usually when people predict the future in stories, there's not this weakness. I just thought it'd be interesting to put the gift of touch a little there, and where this offers a limit on these prophetic abilities. So if you don't want them knowing what awaits you in your future, don't touch them. Don't let them touch anything of yours.
Right.
But I was thinking, I think every person's prophetic abilities are different from each other. One prophet, one seer in one book, in the French book of mine, it's not you he has to touch. That's right. Object of yours, like a cup, will predict your future. This guy operates by touching skin. It's that sort of thing. Usually I keep the touching skin part, but sometimes I vary it to objects. And I just think it's interesting to try to vary it a little. Because...
But it wasn't good news for
no,
King.
No. I don't know what you think of Brother Adam's eye color changing.
I didn't really notice it. Where was it?
Page 60.
The eyes of Brother Adam, at the moment he held the ruler's hands in his own, took a rather darker and almost silver shade, if briefly so.
Oh, right. Interesting choice.
But, yeah, it's not good news. And meanwhile, Dweeb's getting drunk. And he's trying to be Robert Baratheon, but he kind of lacks the that Baratheon edge. He kind of lacks it. And, of course, Padre just kind of gets annoyed. I thought it was funny that the tavern owner just like, get him the hell out of here. If he gets violent, like, it's not my problem. I don't want to deal with it. And
why was he? What was his problem again?
He's feeling guilty for the death of the sons of Domhnall.
Because on page 62, you learn what happened of the three of the sons of Domhnall, and what Ringen did to them.
Yeah, he killed them. And the thing
didn't one escape, right? Like the
no, Rybert escaped because he was sent west to secure the annulment for Nicole's marriage, but he didn't return east because he got the news and decided to head for his own castles and to start a rebellion.
But it didn't end well with him either, though.
No, sadly. The idea with, because he's supposed to be like a Prince Charming type. Like, he's genuinely a good man. He'd have been the best of the sons to be a king. He's just kind.
Whose son is Ruadhiri then? or Ruhaidri. Ruhaidri.
Oh, right. He's that little boy from the beginning, from the first
Yeah,
story.
but
in the Valley of
whose
Darkwood.
son is he then?
Let me open up my.
Oh, but he's not one of the. I mean, he's not one of the royals.
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, he's a Mormare. He's the Mormare
Yeah.
of Nora.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh
No. I thought he was one of the royals. That's why I asked. I thought he was
no.
one of the
His
kingly
father
line.
is Domhnall, Mormare of Norok. This like Ruaidri is.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not one of. You have a lot of dominoes, so he's not the.
Yeah.
It's not the royal domino, right?
No. He's he's just a nobody. Like, well, he's ruler of the largest duchy in the realm. So, he's got some clout. He's got some muscle. But he's also pretty much all but lord. He's pretty much lord of the Highlands. So very, very tough fighter. And he's also basically an enemy of the Malmartins because they consider him responsible for Daddy's death. So he had to ally with either Domhnall or Ringen. He sadly chose Ringen against Rybert. And page 66, we have, I believe here is when, no, it's 65 when we have the, no, it'd be 64. I skipped it too far ahead. When he first sees someone in his room.
Oh yeah.
And he's from there to 66, he starts to lose it a little. And he says that there was a boy in the room with us when there was no such person there. And you have, you've got the guards kind of a little confused. And you have Dweeb who says, "Are you okay, Dad?" And you have Ringen who, it's because they're worried because Ringen started screaming from inside the room because he sees Kenneth, his youngest son, who died about 2 years ago. He died to the Mormare of Strathclyde. And
but I thought they were the vassals though, Strathclyde.
Technically a vassal, but he's a defaulting vassal because Ringen killed his daughter. So he was an underking. Yeah. He's an underking. Ringen is technically high king, but the trouble is Ringen now sees his youngest, who's supposed to be dead.
Because what happened with Ringen was on the way to save his youngest, Kenneth, upon hearing the death of his brother Domhnall. Pretty much
he turned around.
He turned around and
right.
And this is what has led to the death of his nephews.
Because he decided to kill his nephews. But the thing is, the idea is he was faced with the choice of his son or power. And he chose to sacrifice his son to claim power. And because the thing is, Nickel and the others had gained the upper hand over Padre. But the goal of Nickel was not to kill his cousins, merely imprison. But Ringen burst in and slaughtered people. Now, the thing is, Dweeb and Padrig and Domhnall were not to participate. They did not partake in the massacre that followed. They did defend themselves, but they did not kill their cousins. Ringen did it. So he kind of disturbed the balance a little. But the thing is, he would not have escaped unscathed from Nickel being crowned. But the trouble is, but because he abandoned his son died. So that's the idea. But the kid also had his head chopped off and put on a pole. And
yeah, that's not nice.
No, these are hard men. These are.
But did Ringen go for revenge though, or did he not do anything to
He did nothing.
Strathclyde? I mean, afterwards when he had the power,
He
when
did
he was
nothing.
king. Why didn't he go and conquer?
Well, no, that's a good question. I think the idea is he's still trying to secure his power.
Or does he have does he have an understanding with them, or are they at war at that point?
They are currently in a bit of a kind of Cold War. They have an uneasy understanding.
Okay.
Because I killed your daughter, you killed my son. It's like a child for a child. And there's an uneasy piece, but everybody knows it'll soon be broken.
What led to, by the way, killing of the daughter? Like, why did he kill?
Because he wanted her, she didn't want him, so he violated her and killed her.
Where did he come in contact with her then?
The idea was he was sent south. He was going south. He was hunting because he's friendly with the Mormare of Strawthorn at the time, and caught sight of her and decided to want her. And in what way would you say your book is similar to or different than the Song of Ice and Fire series? I would say the difference is I don't take pot shots at the church, but I'll also say Martin's literature is motivated by postmodernism, and I'm not. The other thing is the characters in my story of Crown of Blood behave, how do I put it? Like men possessed. They tend to be very irrational, whereas Martin's characters behave in a way that I found was very much motivated by the plot. And the thing is, I don't want to say I don't have a plot, but the difference is my characters are and Dan's characters are very motivated by their passions, by their obsessions, by their
reaction.
dreams.
They react to life happening, basically.
Yeah.
And Martin's characters are more like they're driving the action in that sense. But then in that way, your characters are quite true to life in that aspect that most people might think that they're like driving the action, but they're actually just reacting to what's happening around them. So your characters, like, they, in my opinion, they evoke those like royal people of the Middle Ages and earlier, that stuff happens and they react to it. Basically, they're not in the sense that, oh, they're so smart, they're so super smart, they always know what to do, where to go, how to handle every situation, to see plots within plots, and just, you know what I mean. But they're more true to life in that you're taken unawares of the situation, and then you're like, oh, what am I going to do? And then some go west and die, some go east and die, some stay and die, some don't know what they're going to do, and so that actually I kind of like that they it rings more true to life. A lot of your guys' characters, their decisions and how they respond, how they like.
Thank you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
like you said, like people can be quite irrational. Like you might think you're gonna make the absolute most rational, always the best decision ever, but many times you're like you make your decision too late. You're basically, and that's what I mean. Like you're reacting to something that's already happened, and you're or you make an irrational decision and you just go with your emotion somewhere, but it's not, that was not the right call. So yeah,
exactly. And that's the sad thing about this story, because a lot of the characters in this story, there were other roads they could have taken. There were other choices they could have made, and a lot of them don't choose the right path. And that's where it's a tragedy. Martin's story, I don't know whether I'd say it's a tragedy or not. I'm going to be blunt. I don't know what point he was trying to make with his stories. He just seemed to be subverting and deconstructing. That's not my goal at all. I just love Shakespeare and Tolkien, so I just wanted to write a Shakespeare story. Yeah. Also, because Dan just wanted the appendixes made into a story.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you. You summarized it better than I could. But Ringen here, I'm looking at page 66. He is there. I can see him. Ringen insisted stubbornly. I see him as surely as I see you, Patrick. Or you, dweeb. But Kenneth died 2 years ago. You just have dweeb who's just utterly flabbergasted. And you've got, of course, Ringen. Do not treat me as though I was one of those trollops who spend so much of thy idle time with my son. If I say that I see your half-brother, then it is because I see him. Yeah, and you just have Patrick just tells him, Father, you always preach of hell.
No, I was just going to say it must be a shock to a man who's, like you said, very matter of fact.
Yeah.
He's not one to ponder the life's questions or spirituality or stuff like that. So he must be quite a shock to him when the things the seer said comes to pass.
And the other thing I was thinking, I think, with the seer was that in a way he made, this is one idea I think I had, was he opened a gateway in a way within Ringen, where Ringen could not see the angry spirits around him. But once he touches the hands of that seer, it's like a doorway opens, and he can't shut the door. And
that's a good point.
Or it might be his own guilty conscience. The idea was to leave it, I don't want to say blank, but leave it in the hands of the readers to decide which one they prefer. I like the idea of the actual ghost haunting him.
But, same here.
But I also think that the readers should have
their own opinion on matter.
Yeah, like
it's like
it's more fun.
It can be from a psychologist's point of view. It could be that there's a background guilt coming in, but on the other hand, it could be ghosts.
Yeah, and
we are dealing with a fantasy with a horror element to it.
Yeah. And boy, I think Ringen is kind of consumed by the horror. And you've got, of course, in the next sub-chapter, that is to say, part 3 of this Ringen story, on page 72, you have Dweeb, who we mentioned that Dweeb usually wins the sword contests because they have feats of strength during this festival that comes up. And the thing is, Dweeb always wins because Dweeb's just a really, really good. It's just really. We wanted Dweeb to kind of be kind of a Prince Charming as well, but in a different context. Oh, I've heard others also express that they don't understand what the main themes or intent of Martin's books are, beyond the notion that war is pointless and bad, or people are bad. Yeah, Martin was, I think, trying to deconstruct Tolkien. He states it outright a few times. So the idea was to take kind of the heroes that Tolkien wrote and throw them into the mud, I think. And
it's good that I didn't know that when I read them years ago. I just read them like, oh, these are some good fantasy stories, and then I just well, then they stopped coming out. So, well, they got worse after the third book. Up to the third book, they were really good, but then they got just worse. But
yeah, I guess. I like the first one, but then partway through, I was like, "All these characters are going to die." I immediately knew the Starks were going to die, and I went, "Come on, don't do that. It'll be boring. Make it a murder mystery set of fantasy stories." And I wanted murder mysteries because I thought that'll be different. Then when Eddard Stark died, I went, "Well, saw that one coming." And book 2, 3.
Well, I guess it's a lot of has to do with because usually in a lot of fantasy book, at least what I've read, the main characters or stuff like that, they don't die. Nobody dies.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like no stakes in that sense because you're not sure. Well, you're always sure that the main characters will always survive. So there's less stakes.
Fair.
So in that sense, I think it was a nice idea to kind of shake up that a bit, but then I guess it kind of went too far where you like a lot of people just started to die, so it became like a kind of it became like an absurdity, and it went too far that everybody's just dying now, so it's like I mean
and yeah, he took it too far and he lost track of it. So that before he knew it, he could not conclude his plot in some ways.
Yeah, now it's like
now he's become a meme.
Yeah, no, it's me. I'm probably never going to be finished, and yeah.
But yeah, Ringen though ends up visited on page 74 by Rybert.
And on page 73, he was visited by the 3 other sons.
Yep, Nickel, David,
and Mylios.
Yeah. Each of his nephews. And he murdered 3 of them and commanded the last one to be killed. And this ends up kind of causing him, I guess, a little more guilt. Well, I think on page 76, though, we have what the hell? We have Ringen, who he ends up hearing that Norok's banners are within sight of the castle, and the thing is, this should mean good news, but the people don't take it entirely well when they see what grisly prize the Mormaer Ruaidri of Norok brings with him. Rybert, well, the thing is, Ruaidri has at the top of a spear, Ruaidri has the head of Rybert on a spear and the trouble is, Rybert was once very popular, especially with women, because he was dashing, heroic, and chivalrous. And he was already a figure of song and whatnot. And he's been killed. And the idea here is good men don't always win in the short term. But the idea is that it's a tragedy when they lose and die. And of course, you have Rydri, who's a little startled by how the local people are not impressed with him. They're not happy. And he's urged to just hurry up and go meet with the king. And the king receives him saying, "You have won me my crown." And Rydri, who is now a full-grown man, bows and says, "Was a little more than my duty." Now, I don't know what you think of the fact that Rydri, who was in the right in the first story, has, by this story, killed probably the best hope this kingdom has for a peaceful reign right now. The idea is Rydri would say, "I was just doing my job," but I think the idea I was thinking here was that, is that really a good excuse for not doing the right thing? Well, come on, I got to do my job.
Wasn't he the one who kind of abstained in the first story?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, from helping, right?
Yeah. But the other idea here was to show Rydri is not a coward. Like he's
but then again, but then he just basically just finished off the Mile Martin line. Basically, he abstained. He was Domhnall's son, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
He just finished off the line and says, "I was just doing my job." He's not. He's not. I guess in D&D terms, he'd be lawful neutral. He's not good nor evil, but he's not making good decisions. I don't know what you think of him.
So he came around, I guess.
Yeah, to Ringen.
Why did he care for Ringen?
Because Rydri can't side with Mal Martin.
Because of what he did, right?
Yeah. So,
well, what about Kettle then?
Rydri doesn't think Kettle could claim the throne, so he's like, "Well, that means only one guy, Ringen."
Right.
But the thing is, he wants to prove his loyalty. He's like, "I'll prove my loyalty by killing his
Kettle, right? He doesn't really have an army, right?
No.
People.
No.
He's that's what I figured.
He's off on an island in the northeast.
Yeah.
It's very tiny, and that's basically a fortress. He's just gathering his resources and gathering his his Nordic, I guess you'd say, hordes to try to make a try of it. Because Kettle's not a coward. It's just that
he has no one.
Yeah, he's got no one. But he did end up taking in Domhnall's daughter, Isla. So while he killed Domhnall, he took in the man's daughter. Because his beef was with the father, not with the daughter. And that's where Rydri ends up, on the other hand, thinking, Rydri gets a funny moment here. He ends up kind of eyeing the storm clouds, the increasingly angry crowd outside the castle, and decides. Well, he also takes a look at the squawking ravens, and he decides, I should think it best only to stay a short time. I don't know what you think of Raiju just taking a look at everything going, okay, I'm leaving soon.
I'm not staying here very long.
Because they're inviting him and they're like, hey, why don't you stay a while? No, I'm good. The idea was he's the character who sometimes he doesn't make the best decisions, but then other times, he can look out around himself and sees the omens and just says, no.
Yeah, I mean, all the stories up to here, the kingdom basically is quite volatile. Like it's really easily someone gets killed or changed. The rules get changed. So, I mean, the smart thing is like, I'm not staying here. Like this is not good. It's much better to be in your own castle, country, duchy, whatever.
Yeah, because he's the Duke of the North. He controls the northern border.
Yeah, exactly. So that's way more smart to just stay there.
Yeah, and
see what happens.
Yeah, and of course, Ringen has his third incident, where he now sees his brother, Domhnall.
Yeah, sitting on the throne, right?
Yeah, this is directly taken from Macbeth. And you've got Anna who says, you're embarrassing us. Like, stop. Like,
Yeah, he should just have shut up. He shouldn't have said anything after the first.
After the first ghost.
Yeah, he should have just kept quiet if he had any sense. Because, I mean, logic would say that he would get... people will lose respect more, or he will be seen as unhinged.
Yeah.
Even if true. But still, it's not a good look to be basically pointing and screaming.
Yeah.
So,
and he does it in front of Raiju, who complains, "This is the man for which I cast down my honor and slew the Prince Rybert for." What do you think of Raiju?
What does he mean with cast down my honor?
Because he means technically Raiju knows Ringen's not a good guy. He abandoned his own son to die. He slaughtered his nephews. So he sees it as, I cast down my honor to side with the winner.
Right.
And he's like, that's what he means. He means, I should have added a line about that, but it's because
there wasn't really anything to choose.
Yeah, but he still thinks, well, it's to show there's a bit of doubt there. He's like, maybe I should have sided with Rybert. This has been a really stupid idea. It's just Raiju's just kind of thinking, this has been stupid. What was I thinking?
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's got buyer's remorse, and he done screwed up. He should have sided with Rybert, but he didn't, and he's basically complaining.
But Rybert's armies were probably not as big as Ringen's.
No, but if Raiju combined his army with Rybert's, they'd have a equal-sized one to Ringen's.
Right.
So, but the trouble is, Ringen still had command of the east and northeast, and Ringen still had a lot of backing. So, it would have been a long, drawn-out affair.
Yeah.
But Raiju also showed some talent as a general. So,
Yeah, he seems like character-wise, he seems a survivor type. Like we, obviously, that's what
he's a survivor.
He basically just looks and sees which way the wind is blowing, and then he makes choices.
Yeah, he's just trying to survive because Raiju, we've not revealed it yet, but he has a younger brother, Morgan, and Raiju wants to survive to take care of his own little brother. But the difference is Morgan is much more of a Raiju is someone who he makes desperate decisions based on I need to survive. Morgan is more like a guy who tilts the board. Like you know what I mean? Like he takes a board, he tilts it in his favor, or like he changes the pieces of the chessboard while the other person isn't looking. He's someone who cheats and lies to get ahead. But Morgan ultimately is a very brilliant and clever character. He's a trickster, but he's also a very, very capable warrior. And he's one of my favorite characters. But he doesn't pop up for another like 6 or 7 stories. So probably it's not another. Yeah, it'll be like 100 pages almost before he shows up. And of course, everybody's basically like, dude, you're embarrassing yourself. And Ringen screams at the ghost of his brother, only for his voice to die when he sees the look of pure hatred his brother gives him. I don't know what you think of that.
It's interesting that it happens quite fast. All of this descent into madness. Well, basically, it's not really madness. I mean, it's real. He sees what he sees, but he can't really do anything about it.
No, except maybe shut up.
At this point, could he maybe, if he would speak to the seer once again to get it to be cancelled?
He probably could, but the seer has left, I think.
Yeah.
The seer basically was told, pack up, go home. And he said, okay. The seer thinks Ringen's kind of scary. He's like, okay. I don't mean to say that he's a coward. It's just that he's like, well,
yeah,
I told his future he didn't like it. I'll go home. Like, what am I going to do about it? And you've got everyone just like, how did he collapse so fast? Like, what is going on with this man? And of course, they call him Brother Andrew, who is flabbergasted and has no idea what's going on.
I kind of actually like the idea now that we're talking about this, that something happened to him. Like basically, like you said, something opened up and came, and now it's haunting him with a purpose. So basically, meaning to his death because of what he has done. So, like the saying goes, the chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah,
your time is up. Like you made enough evil, and you're so foolish that you don't even understand things besides what is right in front of you. So when someone comes to you, it's like, okay, that's it. It's time, and you don't even understand what you've stepped into, and now everything has caught up with him, and it's time to pay, basically, and it's over. So in that sense, it's why it happens so fast, because he, first of all, he has no understanding of anything except what is right in front of him.
Yeah,
nothing of spirituality, nothing. He has no understanding, so he's just going head first. The only way he sees forward, which is what they want. They want to steer him right down to his death, to the downfall, which he deserves, basically, for what he has done, murdering his own family. Because that's quite horrible. It's like, so
yeah, because the idea we partially had here was that Donald never looked at anyone in hatred.
Yeah,
He's the first person he looked on in hatred.
And I'll just real quickly tell people, Dan wrote that paragraph, that bit.
Yeah, and the mentality was that Donald never blamed Kettle in the afterlife, because he thought Kettle
was asserting his rightful claim, but Ringen didn't have to do all this. And the difference between Ringen and Kettle is that, as we'll find out later on, Kettle does feel somewhat bad for Donald. And Kettle's complicated character. And the thing is, Ringen.
Wasn't
Ringen,
Kettle also quite young?
yeah, he's very young. He's young. He's
when
impulsive.
he killed. What was his age when he killed?
Let me see. Kettle would probably be in his 20s.
Okay, older than I thought. I thought he was like 14 or something.
No, he's in his 20s.
Right.
He's got a good like 12 years to 13 years difference between him and his baby brother Simon.
Yeah.
Simon is incredibly young. Simon is like 8 or 9. We also were trying to do a contrast with Ringen and Simon because Ringen is a younger brother and Domhnall's an older brother, and Simon's a younger brother and Kettle's an older brother. And they have a son where brother. But the difference is, I'll do this just because our internet. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you were breaking up there a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have Ringen and Domhnall who are siblings. You have Simon and Kettle who are, but Simon is someone who loves and worships and reveres his older brother. His mission in life later is to do everything he can for his brother, and even to take care of his nephews and nieces. Simon is very much motivated by family, and he loves his family. And Ringen was not. Ringen had no regard for them, so they're complete opposites. Kettle is also a stronger version of Domhnall in a way. He's much stronger. He can make the correct decision. But Domhnall also does not let himself be ruled by his younger brother. He's like, I am the adult. I'm basically your parent. Oops, sorry. That's an alarm. The thing is, Kettle sets the rules like a good parent. He's like, these are the rules, son. You got to follow them. Although, except they're brothers. So the other motivation was Kaiba and Mokuba from Yu-Gi-Oh! And thought that would be, well, Dan thought that would be an interesting thing to do. So there's a contrast between them. But yeah, Ringen goes on to really make a mess of things. But then, like, shortly after he awakens, his daughter-in-law comes throwing herself at him. Now, Budhyak, she's interesting. In the last story, she was talking about how much she hated her husband and was like, he's such an idiot. Why was I married to this loser? But now she's shrieking and throwing herself at Ringen on page 83 and 84 and just saying, you got to stop him. You got to stop this. And you've got, of course, Dweeb, who's like, she's going nuts. Don't listen to her. And, she's like, no, I'm not going nuts. And her dad apparently served Ringen faithfully. And he died.
Yeah, this was the slow brother, right?
Yeah, he's the really slow one. He might actually have some mental disabilities. And
right.
The idea was to write him as someone with mental disabilities, but he's not a bad sword. But he has a lot of common sense, or at least I should say good sense. In some ways he's the dumb one, in some ways he's the smart one. And
but basically here Patrick is sending him to his death, right?
Yeah, because he hates him. He wants to get rid of him. He's like,
yeah, Patrick seems like a real bastard.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He hates everyone.
Yeah, he does. Patrick is a total tool. He hates everyone. He does not have any love in his heart, except for his wife. He loves his wife, but he despises everyone.
He seems like a sociopath.
He's probably one of my favorite characters in this book.
Yeah, he is one of your favorites.
Why is he your favorite?
By
Spoilers.
Okay.
He gets his own story later.
Right. But
But
is he basically kind of like in that sense? Is he crazy enough to be how should I say danger to also like to everyone around him? I mean, to
kind of,
his,
yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like, but his father doesn't see him that way, right?
No,
Right. So
because
he doesn't see the danger that who he is.
yeah, because Patrick is
That he
also the
yeah,
talented one.
right.
He's the heir. He's the talented son. Like, no, he's really talented. He's very strong. He's very smart. But the problem is, he's so smart. He's so strong. He's so good at what he does. Ringen just was like, well, I guess I could trust him with everything. He's my lieutenant. But the trouble is, Padraig is a bit of a sociopath.
Yeah.
And
He
like,
wants power himself.
yeah, and Ringen thinks, well, Ringen was willing to abandon Kenneth to die. He was willing to kill his nephews, his brother. But as much as he abused his middle son, and he did, there's a part of him that still loved him. And this is where we were injecting a bit of complexity, because he races out there into before the army's in and says, wait, stop. Get down from that horse at once. But, Father, get down. If only you realized how foolish you look, you would not question me. And Padraig basically says, no, it's time he goes. He has to leave now. Padraig, what in the name of the Highland Peaks do you think you are up to? My faith, you know better than anyone. Your brother is not fit for war. And you have Padraig who's like, oh, you know what? What are you doing outside of your bedroom? So he's like, the father and son clash. And Padraig says he has a duty to contribute to the family. And Ringen says he can't win. Like, this. Kettle is a trained warrior and one of the finest generals in the realm.
But I thought he didn't have any armies, though.
He's gathered a small one, a very tiny,
okay.
tiny one.
Okay.
He's taking He's taking over the eastern coast.
Is Kettle, by the way, more popular because of his father?
Yeah, Constantine the Constantine the Wise.
So is he more like popular with the local folk or the people? Okay.
Yeah, he's very popular with the people. Also, because Kettle was raised near a monastery and was basically raised amongst the peasants.
Right.
He got a royal education, but Kettle likes spending time with the peasants more than he likes spending time with nobles. Same goes for his brother Simon. So, they're popular for their father, but they were also raised because their father. The thing is, he was king, but then he abdicated the throne and became a monk. But he took with him his sons into the monastery. His sons were educated, basically homeschooled, and their dad made sure that they spent time with peasants because their dad just saw it as, yes, my eldest is the heir, but I want them to get to know the kingdom they're going to rule over someday. I want my youngest to have a childhood, and I want my other son, my eldest surviving son, to learn some humility. And he did really well as a father. But the thing is, Kettle became renowned as a warrior. And he was also given a Viking education or a Norse education because his mother was a Nordic woman.
Right.
She was an Arn. So because she was an Arn, Constantine made sure that his sons would be raised knowing their mother's culture. The trouble with this is that because of this, Kettle was trained as a Viking warrior, and he's taking over the beach, which is over in the northeast, in Bardrock. And the thing is, Ringen is just trying to tell Patrick, he is your brother. Your brother.
Yeah, I like this part.
Go ahead and read it.
When he says, and am I to be my brother's keeper?
That was a
Padraig retorted coldly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that's straight
reference to.
from the Bible. Yeah, Cain and
Yeah,
Abel.
yeah, that was the idea. Um,
Yeah, it really fits here. But it's
yeah,
interesting, like because Ringen has basically, well, they deemed him kind of like losing his mind, so they're not obeying him. So that's the only
no,
way they're getting away with this. Because shouldn't the armies and people like do what he says? If he
yeah,
says Domhnall shouldn't go, then he shouldn't go.
but Ringen has been outmaneuvered by Padraig,
Hmm.
and Padraig takes full advantage of basically his dad's weakness. Um, and
Yeah, he kind of like does a double betrayal here. He says Ringen here's pleading basically that if not for him, then for me. He's my son. Do not do this. And then Padraig says, Uncle Domhnall said the same. Which I'm wondering, did Domhnall say
some,
to spare my sons because he was dead already, right?
yeah, I think that was a mistake on my part, but it might be that Domhnall had said similar stuff about Ringen. He is my brother. I think that's what
Hmm.
it's a reference to.
Yeah, he is my brother. Do not.
Make me choose.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. In the second, yeah. Now I remember. Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and you have Padraig. Domhnall is hardly special. He heads east while Dweeb is to go south to seize Fortriu to punish his good father for betraying us in favor of Kettle. What? But he betrayed us and has slain the messenger I had sent to him. But they are not the enemy, but Luthane is. I intend to lead our forces against him. And you have Ringen. I could do so myself, or against Kettle. And it's interesting that you then have Padraig who looks at him with utter contempt. Better to entrust an army to Domhnall than you, father. Oof.
But would he have like become so emaciated at this point? Like
No. Well, he might
because Ringen wasn't Ringen basically a warrior, a very that's
he
all he
was
was basically a warrior. He was never
he
one.
was, but he started to let himself go, but I don't think he's fully emaciated here.
Hmm.
It ends up being later that he completely lets himself go. And of course,
What's his age, by the way? I'm here.
Ringen's in his 40s.
It's kind of funny when it says ineffectual old man past his prime. he's not.
Yeah. He's like
not
in
really.
he's
He's
in
not
his
old.
He's in his late 40s, but Padraig's determined to treat him as a used up old man. Like,
I mean, in Patrick's defense, Ringen is starting to go crazy, seeing, oh, there's my brother right on that throne. No. Falls into a seizure. How are you supposed to entrust a kingdom to such a man?
That's a good point.
And apparently this is where the South flips for Achaeus, proclaiming him High King. This is on page 89 at the bottom. And the son of Mel Martin has apparently broken through the Fortriu area. And the reaction, now Achaeus had apparently defeated Dweeb in battle, and Dweeb had to flee. Nothing Dweeb could do there. He got beat. And Dweeb basically says, we got to go west. Like, this guy's rolling forward. He's rolling us up like a carpet. And the entire south, Strathclyde and Strathern, like the entire marchland has declared for Dweeb and have let in some of the, not Dweeb, have declared for Achaeus. And they've let in the southern, the Britians, that is, or the Norlinians, I should say, because the northern part of Britia, and they're basically letting England in. And this has broken Ringen's kingship. And Dweeb's basically saying, I'll help with the escape. Like, my gosh, everything's going wrong. And of course, this is when things go completely wrong. And Ringen, who's been kind of losing his mind even more, and there were plans for a defense, but Aina decides, jigs up. Let's give up. We can't win. Like, she's like, okay, well, Ringen's began losing his mind. She doesn't think Padraig can win in the West. She's like, Padraig's probably going to lose. Donald's going to lose. And Dweeb's lost stuff. So I got to start taking stock for myself and my daughters. So, all right, how do I play this? And Aina's cold-hearted, which, yeah, that's a polite word we can use. No cussing because channel on YouTube. But, and it wouldn't be the classy thing to do. But she's a complete witch, or something that rhymes with it. And she proceeds to snuff out her husband while he's asleep. And I have to admit, I find it funny that she immediately turns on Dweeb and tries to order him cease, but he just rides out. Like, you're trying to catch like a level 12 fighter. Like, he just rides out. No one's catching him. Boadiak ends up disguising herself as a maid and fleeing east to be reunited with her husband, who ironically fled as well after his defeat. And they got on a boat and just boated off.
Right.
So the two of them escaped. And apparently she had the sense to steal some gold on her way out from the castle. So Boadiak, I'll say this, she's kind of the smart one between her and her husband.
I would thinking about the death of Ringen, smothering him with a pillow. I mean, I would think he would have woken up there and started to trash around.
He did, but the idea was she used leverage. I had planned to show it, but I guess I didn't. And
I mean, it depends, like how emaciated he was and stuff like that as well. But
yeah, because there's a 6-month time skip at one point,
right?
And of course, Aina presents herself to her new beau, seduces him, and when she turns her head that night, she meets the gaze of Ringen.
Yeah, that's a good way to end the story. I really like it. Though I would have preferred if Arceus had thrown her off the balcony,
like Ringen had done to, well, one of it was an actual wife
off the tower. But that's just a personal nitpick because I truly didn't like her character.
No.
Not that she's well written. If she's well written, it's just I just mean that not likable person.
There's no love in her heart. That's the idea. She has no love, but
that's actually cool. Now that I think about the end as well, that like the curse basically
transfers
now because she also does evil things and she
her action.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I had the thought of is, what's the worst thing I could do to her? Keep her alive.
But she basically touched Ringen and that was the idea. She touched him, and it transferred to her.
Yeah, and in death he blames her, and We have As for Brother Against Brother, this one was written by Dan. And we have a bunch of Vikings landing on, they arrive in port. And what's
the main character is Einar in this story. A new character that hasn't been mentioned before.
Nope, he's a sellsword. He's a Viking mercenary. And
I was actually, when I read this story, I really liked it. I was just thinking about the title, like, who's the brother against which brother? Like, what's the title in reference?
It's in reference to Kenneth versus Achaeus.
Yeah, but they hardly battle or talk.
Yeah. So
that was kind of like, I was thinking, wait, is it really about? I mean, I figured it was them, but I just
they're in the.
It's a good title, but I just meant it. It didn't. I thought
it
didn't really. Yeah, the story wasn't about a brother against a brother.
Yeah,
it was more about Einar, the Viking, against the Calebs, basically.
The trouble with this story is that it was written for a contest, but then the thing is, it was supposed to be written for a contest. It got rejected. Actually, it lost, and we then did some minor rewrites on it and revised it so it fit better with this narrative. So
I really liked it. I thought I was kind of like, which one did I prefer? It was kind of hard. I was kind of like, I thought I even liked this one more than the earlier story.
This was written as a sword and sorcery adventure.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. That was what I was going to say. I really like this story because it felt a bit different from the other stories in that it like flowed. It went in that sense that it went from like from point A to B to C to D. It had like you said, an adventure basically. It went forward in that sense, whereas the earlier stories are more about the court intrigue, like they're staying kind of in the same place in that sense. But here we're like we're following along with Einar, like what's happening, like what's this guy doing, like he's following someone and like things are unraveling where he's searching out.
I'm gonna let you in on something. A few of the reviews when they came in surprised Dan and I because Einar proved one of the more popular characters in the book, and very popular actually. So that I was actually very surprised.
Same, because he was meant to be a one and done character.
Partially, yeah, and if it had won the contest, we would have probably written him as a with his own ongoing series of short stories. But the story was rejected and lost, which fair enough. I don't hold it against the judges. The stories that won were quite good. So it's a case where we just rewrote it and, well, not rewrote, but like we just edited a little to make it line up better. But we still had a lot of fun and it felt, I'm fond of the story.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's my favorite so far, probably.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dan worked for, I think, like, what was it, like a month and a half on this one. I was writing some of the stories that follow it, and Dan was working very hard on this one.
I really like the villain, Gilchrist, or how you say his name.
Yeah.
Gilchrist
was fun.
Good villain.
He was a real psychopath.
Yeah, I think it had that classic sword and sorcery, like it ends at a crypt basically below, and there's a fight and stuff like that. So it has that classic.
Now, and in the contest though, we were not allowed to have a damsel, or if we did, we had to be very careful, and that was I think
Why?
it was an official contest, and they didn't like damsels.
They don't like women.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we had to be very careful with our damsel, because the publisher was a liberal one, and we had to be very,
I'm
very
sorry.
careful. It's just
That's hilarious. I mean, that's super hilarious. Like,
because we
can't
wrote,
I just write my story? Like, do you have to come in and say, like, oh, you can't have a damsel? Oh no! Oh, the horror! Oh, the horror!
yeah, we wrote basically like two versions, one with Isla, one without, and we both like the Isla version better.
Oh yeah, definitely. She fits. It works.
I really like Isla.
And
she's Dan's pet character.
yeah, and I included her in here to help bridge what happened with Domhnall and Ringen and Achaeus.
Yeah,
as a transitionary character.
I think I really liked her in here.
She was. Remind me again.
She was Domhnall's daughter.
Domhnall's daughter, the king Ringen's brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was Ringen's niece. She's his youngest niece.
Right.
And she survived.
She wasn't married to anyone, right?
No. She was on her way to meet her husband because she's engaged to the Mormare of Strathern.
But that was arranged one, right? It was not her choice.
Well, she's offered the choice to accept to go or not by her sister-in-law. And it's like her sister-in-law is like, I could convince my husband to break it off for you if you want. But Isla decides, you know what? I do want vengeance for my family, and I do need to get married at some point. And the Mormare of Strathern is very smitten with me. He's double my age, but he's smitten with me. I'll take it because, I don't want to be an old spinster and I don't want to be a burden to the family. And Ketil says, okay, you can go marry him. But Ketil and his wife chose the husband with care. They didn't want to choose someone who would abuse her.
So was this? So you submitted this story without Isla?
Yep, there's a version without her, or she appears, but very sparingly, and it was a little disjointed because she doesn't appear properly.
Yeah.
She's kind of just in the background, and then she's kidnapped, and Einar has to rush to the rescue. But in this version, we have her almost there from the beginning, and where she interacts with Einar quite a bit. I like this version better.
Yeah,
it's better written. The other one didn't make any sense to me. It just didn't.
The way they wanted to write it was like
I was so confused by the contest.
It's like they wanted nothing but a sausage fest.
But on the other hand, some of the guys who won were actually really good. Like I checked out their stories; they were really, really quite good. So like I can't badmouth them too much. They were not just being like.
No, it's not their fault. I mean, it's the contest. Whoever runs the contest. I mean, if they have these kind of rules, I mean that's absolutely silly.
But the thing is, there were some talented writers, maybe more talented than myself or something, who managed to make it all work. I could not figure out. Neither could Dan. I think we wanted to really. It's just inspiration struck, and we wanted to write a traditional Lovecraftian, Howardian sword and sorcery. We just want to have fun.
Yeah, no, that's what I got. It has fun. It like moves at a nice pace forwards. It has intrigue. He has a good villain with his own kind of his right hand. And then there's the stupid king who's in on it, who we find out who's in on it as well at the end, who's quite a moron. Doesn't he basically he dies right here at the end, if I remember correctly?
He dies. he fought to sacrifice a maiden, Isla, his own cousin, to Galthulcus Longshadow, a demon.
Yeah.
I know the name doesn't sound as good. I was trying to go with a Celtic kind of Lovecraftian
Did
monster.
it? Wasn't it? Who was it who killed him? Right? It was the
Kenneth. It was Achaeus' own brother.
Oh, he just has the same name as Ringen's son.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, this is guys what I'm trying to say. You guys have
You're right.
Yes.
billions of same names with different.
That's why.
I'm
that's
lost.
why we could probably.
We need a new edition.
Yeah, with a proper glossary.
Yeah. It's great with a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we do need the dramatis personae.
No, I say you make I would say, guys, make a new version of this with the. I really like you had the horse cover, right? I mean, that would be awesome because he's like conquering and there's a lot of war in this. So have that and have a new, logo. I could design it like I did with the other one. Sure. Then you have like a glossary there in the beginning and a map, and I'm telling you that will like it will really help with the new reader to like get invested into it.
As soon as I finish my class, because I've been taking night courses. So as soon as I finish that final assignment in the next day or two, I'll immediately get to work. I've been working on the dramatis personae. We have been working on it.
Yeah.
We just need to finish it.
Because a painting will draw in better, I think, than like just a picture.
You're right.
This kind of picture, because a lot of modern. I mean, I guess they have a reason for it, but a lot of modern fantasy books, their covers are really bland, really very simple, very boring. And for me, when I see like an awesome cover, I'm immediately drawn to it, even if the story doesn't really sound that appealing at first. But if the cover is really awesome looking, you're like, wait, that's cool. I'm gonna give it a chance. Like you get that. It's the same with music album covers for me as well. Okay. So if you have a really cool painting, so I don't really understand the modern style of making everything very plain, very very basic, which is like every cover looks the same. It's like what?
I also need to, because we've been working on the dramatis personae and the glossary. My goal is to do that. Well, we're going to have that done. And I'm basically going to have to find a good map, because the map I showed on the screen earlier.
Yeah, get the cities. Yeah, get the cities which are in the story, so people know like where we are.
Well, I was going to split into the different Mormerdoms.
Yeah, have Mormerdoms, so you know like who's Mormer or what. So you know like okay, he's of this, he's of that.
And so, I gotta also finish. I got to redo the genealogy trees because they're not very well done. So I got to redo that and put that all in. I'll do that. Yeah, I know I keep saying I'll do it, but it's just this next course.
Oh yeah. No. Just take your time about it. It's going to be great when it's done.
Thank you. But you're right. I think your advice is very good.
No, I mean, I'm telling you, it's people will get more invested much more easily because.
Okay. And that's a really good art cover. I want to show another potential art cover for you.
Sure. Definitely.
By the same artist. But he's still painting it. He's still coloring.
Okay.
He's still. Let's see. We have, of course, Gilchrist. I have to admit, I was thinking of the villain from Dragonbone Chair. I really like Gilchrist. Like in hindsight, Dan, you wrote him as utterly like this guy is just. You were thinking
disgusting.
Yeah, he's very disgusting. You were thinking of the same villain, Paraxes from Pirates from Dragon Ball Chair.
Yeah.
That's who you were thinking of. He's the main
Wait.
villain of a novel.
Dragonbone Share. Wait, that sounds familiar.
Tad
Whose
Williams.
novel? Tad Williams, right?
I
I'm
don't know.
I probably haven't.
But you were definitely thinking of channeling that guy for this.
And it is rather interesting that I set it up that subchapter 3 is when we first really see Achaeus.
Yeah, it takes a while to get to him, and you have got her. Like, you got to admire her piss and vinegar, because she pretty much tells him, "You have him. Oh, come now! You could at the least stand to comport yourself in a manner befitting a lady and princess of the realm." And her retort, "I could say much the same to you."
Which page are we
That's on page 101. Sorry, I should have specified that. I thought that was a funny line. Dan gave her the best lines.
Yeah.
Oh, come now. You could at the least stand to comport yourself in a manner befitting a lady and princess of the realm. Is what Achaeus tells her. He's teasing her. He's taunting. And you have her. I could say much the same to you. Wow. She's treating... Now, I know to our modern audience, and I mean that with all the mockery in the world and disdain. The idea is, if you say, the whole pronoun thing, I'm not big on that. So you have her basically calling Achaeus a little girl and mocking his masculinity, and he doesn't take it well. I know this is a mystery to some people, but and of course, you have...
I don't know. I think they quite like mocking men, those weirdos.
Yeah,
they don't mind that.
No, I mean, like, if you call a guy a girl, they seem kind of fond of that. I don't know why. But I think Elagabalus and whatnot are...
Was Isla, was she the one on the boat, right?
Yep. Isla was the one on the boat, and she has some of the best lines.
It's just because I read these stories a couple of weeks ago, because we kept we had to move the side. I forgot a bit about the...
Yeah, and
I haven't read this one in a while.
Yeah, neither have I. I actually quite like the conversation around page 109 and 110 between Adis and Isla. I have to admit, I think I added this one in. I like the fact that Isla and Adis actually went some way towards being friendly with each other. And while Kettle was the one who killed her father, and she doesn't yet know it, the two got on well enough. And must have been a very complicated family dinner. But yeah, the story really does move forward quite quick, quite fluidly.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Thank you.
Also, that we got to see, in the earlier sword and sorcery stories, we didn't really see from the villain's perspective a lot. So
yeah,
it was good to have also a bit from the Gilchrist point of view at one point.
Yeah, the one we submitted to the contest, we didn't really include a lot of Gilchrist's perspective. That was added in this edition, this version of the short story. I imagine that the reason why a lot of book covers look bland is just minimalist design philosophy. It's been prevalent with video game logos and box art for years now. I'm tired of it as well.
I mean, it's
And,
everywhere. That's what I mean. Like it's everywhere.
yeah,
It's on books, in music, in movies. It's everywhere. I don't know.
I gotta admit, maybe I'm weird. I like 80s and 90s fantasy book covers, but I like in particular. This might sound weird. German ones. They just add more like dark lighting, more like blues, and it looks like
I wouldn't know.
okay. They just like the style Yossi uses, our artist uses with the rider and the even the snowstorm with the temple off in the distance. His style is more German, I think, and it just reminds me of 80s and 90s German fantasy fiction covers and whatnot. If you look up like the German cover design of Dragonbone Chair, it looks gorgeous. The German cover I think from the 90s. It was
Oh, let's see.
beautiful. All right, I'll also look it up so I can. Because let me see how fast I can type on this keyboard.
You mean the one where he's carrying a person?
No. Well, that one looks beautiful. I love that one. Here, let me just. I'll just do one thing. I'll share. Let's see. Share screen. Let me see. 1 second. It would be. Here, I'll see if this one. It's this. Let's see. It's just this.
It looks newer.
Oh yeah, that's newer. It's just this German style right here. I really love this. I also love this design.
I think I like the carrying, the more classic one.
Oh yeah, that one's got its own charm. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the best, but I mean, it's.
I also love this where he's jumping out the dragon. These, like the thing is, the Memory Story on Thorn series had really beautiful art. Oh man, I love these art styles. The thing is, fantasy back then had such beautiful art, and
I think another good, my first basically fantasy books were the Icewind Dale trilogy and the Dark Elf trilogy by R.A. Salvatore.
yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard it's quite good.
So there. Wait, let me see. Crystal. Sure, let's see what it looks nowadays. The new, right? Yeah. Well, it's not as bad as it could be, but let me show. Can you share? Wait, I have to share, right? I think. Present. Share. Let me see.
I hope you can.
Yeah. Here. Is it showing? Or you have to?
Oh yeah, here it is.
Have to. So this is.
Oh, that's a good cover.
Wait. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share again. Wait. Here. Now, can you see it bigger?
Yeah, that's a good.
So
cover.
like that's the classic cover, and then the newer one is. Let me see. It's not as bad as I would have thought, but you can't. You can't see this. This is super small. Let me see if there's a bigger. bigger picture. Why are they so bad? Okay, let's see now. Here's the new one.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's weird.
Tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? Is that a Marvel cover? Ew.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a magazine cover or something.
Yeah. Oh, get that off the screen. We don't want to traumatize our viewers. We have to protect them.
Yeah.
What little innocence they may have left.
It's a lot of covers going like weird digital stuff. It's no more.
I like
cool.
old
Yeah.
ones. Old
it
Sword
has
and Sorcery.
It has much more charm and character and stuff. A good example is actually the Conan stories.
Yes.
Frank Frazetta. He basically revolutionized Conan, and he brought Conan to the mainstream because of his amazing covers that really spoke of Conan.
I love Frank Frazetta.
Because before him, the Conan pictures or images of Conan was very
weird,
very very basic, like kind of like Prince Valiant. Not to say Prince Valiant is great, but I just mean it doesn't fit Conan. It doesn't fit Conan, so it was more like a basic hero of the Middle Ages style covers. Weird, it didn't really fit at all. So that's a good example. So I would rather have a Frank Frazetta than some kind of basic minimalist cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely hear you. And, here we actually on page 117. I just noticed. I think I added this bit of lore. Now, Saga is a Norse goddess. She's a goddess of history. But this is where the Quirinian faith of the city of Quirinus, shares a goddess in common with the Norse. They revere Saga, and the Norsemen, the Arns, revere Saga. They have a goddess in common. The idea was, I think, maybe not an ancestor in common, but they may not fully realize, not all of them may fully realize it, but there are cultural links between North-Aganor and Scandia, the distant Northlands. And at some point there were cultural interactions. And the goddess Saga has entered into both their cultures in a way. And in this world, the gods are real. So Saga has had her influence over both civilizations or both religious civilizations, I should say, and religious cultures. And that's where, on the other hand, Einar thinks it a little weird and a bit of a coincidence. But I thought that was an interesting thing. Now, there's an ancient temple to Saga just north of the city of Skane, and it was built by King Achaeus, who was father to King Kenned the First, and King Kenned was grandfather to King Constantine. So this is going back like a century and a half almost. This was a long time ago. And that's on page 117 with part 7. And I think what we had fun with here was the references to Tyre, to Norse gods and whatnot, Einar is really a Norseman, and there is no like his gods are the gods of like Thor and Uthin and Tyr, not the gods of this other civilization, not Zu, not Tempestus, not Orcus, and not Skoda. So these are two very, very different religious traditions, despite the goddess in common. And we have a couple of action scenes. I don't know how good those are. And we have two damsels, right? Because we were not allowed a female damsel, so we threw in Eric Einarsson, Einar's young, like 8 or 9 year old son, as the damsel. It was us trying to appeal to this contest, and well, we didn't really get a pass on that one. So, these things happened. But we decided to keep Eric in there. We thought it'd be great if Einar was a single dad. Like, not like I don't think we really planned out where Eric's mom went. I don't think we really cared to develop her.
Yeah, because I took it as
he's probably a widow.
Exactly. He's a widow.
Yeah.
He's making ends meet by being a sellsword to be able to take care of his son.
Yeah. I think it humanized him. I like that he has a son.
To whom? I forgot the name of the... To what are they sacrificing?
Calthulcus. Calthulcus. I think it is Calthulcus. Right. Long Shadow. Where was that page?
Right.
Calthulcus.
But it happens in the Temple of Saga, or downstairs of it. Is this temple occupied? In like that it is maintained, or it's in use? It's not in use.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking like.
We were also looking at Hammer movies, like the Dracula Hammer movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's been desecrated.
Yeah. Exactly.
There was a lot of influences, I think, with this one. There was Conan. There was Hammer movies.
Yeah.
Dan did a great job with his references, and there's Pirates.
That's what I meant, like with the villain and his cohorts. Like they felt like Hammer villains, or like But I mean, like cool sword and sorcery Hammer style villains. Those classic sleazeballs.
Well, why not use sleazeball? Not everyone requires a good, complicated background.
Yeah.
No. That's what I meant. Like it was great. I
Sometimes you need those villains that just want to see the world burn.
Yeah. And I love that there's a demon there, like a kind of eldritch demon in the background, so that feels Lovecraftian. You've got Gilchrist, who feels like a Howard and Hammer villain, and yet and Einar has a bit of a Conan influence.
Yeah.
And yet,
I forgot how did Kinnaid get here?
Kinnaid? Let me find it.
How did he get to the end place, or to the temple? I mean, was he living in the was he living in the royal palace, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he a
prisoner? Basically,
younger. What?
Is he a prisoner, basically?
No, he's a prince.
But he's Caius' youngest brother.
Oh, so he wasn't. He wasn't drink. Oh no. I'm once again with the names. Yes. Yeah, it's not Ringan's son. Yeah, it's not Ringan's son.
No.
He's Kenneth Mel Martin.
Oh, right.
He's the youngest son of Mel Martin. But Kenned's a very, I'll give a spoiler. He's a disturbed individual. Ironically, Gilchrist is not the most evil person in this story.
Which the fact that we can say that
Yeah.
should tell you something.
Yeah. Kenned's just a psychopath. Like a literal psychopath.
But at this time, he seems to fight his brother and take down this ritual.
Yep.
With Einar.
Because his goal was not. That's a bonus, but his main goal was to kill Achaeus.
Right.
Because as much as Achaeus thinks I'll sacrifice my cousin, and I'll become basically maybe a god or something, or I'll get eternal life. That's what he wants, eternal life. And he says, "Wait, hold, Kenned, I shan't fight you. We're kin. And more's the pity for you, brother. Father." And yeah, you have chaos erupting. That's on page 122. Kenned tells Einar, "Leave my brother to me." And the thing is, Kenned decides, well, I'll hold off Achaeus, is what he says. But Achaeus would rather fight Einar. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight his brother, but his brother wants to fight him. So there's a bit of chaos there. And of course, they managed to kidnap Eric and hold him hostage. But Eric manages to slip from their grasp.
Eric also had a really good line on page 119.
Oh, let's go back and see it.
Father, now you will taste steel, knaves. Feed these donkey-faced women to the ravens, father.
Wow, this kid does not care for his captors. He's like, were you thinking of Jade from Jackie Chan Adventures?
I think so.
That explains it. That sounds like something she'd say. Or Jubilation Lee, like from X-Men. Yeah, I'm seeing your 90s cartoon influences. Oh, we have a guy you don't know. Agreed, not every villain needs to be complex or sympathetic. Palpatine is essentially a cartoon villain. Yet people love him for that. Alongside him is Darth Vader, who is more layered. Oh, that's a good point.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So in this story, we have Achaeus, who's a bit more layered, and we have Gilchrist, he's psycho. Like, I don't know how else to describe him. He's just a psycho.
Yeah, then we have we haven't mentioned really, but there's the Bennett guy who's a priest, basically, who's in service of the demon.
Yeah. And Bennett,
who has Bennett disdain for the king, basically.
Yep. And they plan to sell Isla's soul. And I just like how he's like, wait, where's Achaeus? Up there. Why? You left him? I had no other choice. Like, the villains are like, it's like the ritual cannot be completed without the sacrifice of a crowned and anointed High King of the Khalids. So they actually planned to sacrifice Achaeus, and Achaeus had no idea. Whoops. And you have Gilchrist, who just ditched him. Oops.
Can't he fight?
Yeah.
I mean, he probably has some sword skill, right? Achaeus.
Yeah.
I mean.
Achaeus does. He does. He's actually a pretty good fighter. The trouble is he can't bring himself to fight Kenned, his younger brother.
Yeah, that's kind of weird in a sense.
What?
That he can't fight his brother, because he seems like a person who would do anything.
Yeah, but the thing is, he likes Kenned. Kenned's because of his two brothers, because there is a middle brother. There's always a middle brother. The middle brother is Amleb. Amleb is the middle brother, and he's not liked by the eldest. And Amleb, though, lives in a castle on almost the other side of the kingdom, because the eldest and youngest brother can't stand him. So what ends up happening is, the thing is, Achaeus dotes on his youngest brother. They're always close. and Kenneth, takes advantage, and we get on, yeah. And of course we get Isla. This is where it was fun because she, you have some villainesses like, oh, Conan, help me, Conan, which makes sense. But Dan was obviously thinking she's Scottish, so she's going, get them, Einar, get them, and get me down from here. I have faith these manacles are beginning to chafe. She's like, these are chafing my wrists. That's on page 123. Which I thought that was funny. And of course, what I like is the barbarian versus half barbarian of sorts. Gilchrist, this is on page 124. Gilchrist was half civilized and had only his innate savagery, whereas Einar had the berserker fury of 1,000 generations of Norsemen. I like that. I really like that. I like that this is basically a Scotsman versus a Norseman.
It's a great ending here, the fighting, and the Bennett guy even tries to or chimes in to fight Einar.
Yeah.
And then the kid helps.
Yeah. And
I think he right here. What was it? It was with a spear or something, I think.
Yeah. And his dad, you fool, you complete and utter fool. What? But father, I merely meant to help you. And you fool.
Pardon me.
And when Einar spoke, it was in a much softer tone, as his eyes lost their original anger. The pride that entered his voice was unmistakable. In the following moments, you complete and utter fool. Yeah, they have a father-son moment there. That's after the fight. I really like that Eric contributed. And I like that. Oh, so yeah, Eric, I forgot. He on page 126, he got the drop on Gilchrist. He kills him. Yeah. Like his last thought was to wonder how in the name of Zeo, the war god, he could have died at the hands of a 7-year-old child. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. The fact that these powerful warriors, the kid kills them.
Well, he was distracted. Like, he didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
That was funny. I'm not going to lie. Like, that was a funny Conan. Well, that seems like something Howard would do. Although Conan would be still much more badass. I'm just saying. I love Conan. And, of course, when they go upstairs from the basement, they find Achaeus' corpse. So Achaeus had been stabbed to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wasn't a very nice guy.
Yeah, also great ending here where basically seals or emphasizes the father-son relationship. So I thought that was really, really great place to end.
Yeah, because
him being proud of his son, and that's worth more treasure than any treasure and stuff, and maidens of the earth. I thought that was a nice touch there.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for a good father-son movie, and same with Dan, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one of my favorite moments in the first Dune movie, where the father and son speak about leadership and the son being like, I don't know if I've got it in me to lead, and the father is basically, I mean, but whether you lead or don't lead, you're still my son. So like, it was
I,
really, it was a really touching moment. That was a good one.
I do like the last lines. What made it worth the loss of coin and the beauteous maiden was the proud grin that decorated the lips of his only son, though. That was a prize worth more than all the treasures and maidens of the earth.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think this was my favorite story. There was, there was just so many great elements here. The crypt, the villains, the king and his brother, and then Isla, and of course the Norseman and his son. There was a lot of different dynamics going on
Mm.
in the story, so it had a lot of more layers in that sense. So
I
there's,
was I remember being very worried about this one with us presenting it. It's just I didn't know if it'd be considered, if you and others might consider it too random and too many
no, no,
ideas.
no.
That,
No, like I
because
said, it flowed very well.
you're the second person to tell us. We had someone who reviewed it on Substack who said that he loved Einar and that Einar was his favorite character and that he really liked this short story. So this was one of the most popular short stories.
I mean, I haven't read the rest, so obviously gonna reserve judgment until the end.
The next story is, I think, a short one.
In the shadow of the long woods.
Yeah. That
It's
one,
a short one?
well,
It's about 30 pages.
okay, it's a long one. Yeah, I underestimated it.
Death in Hallowed Halls.
Oh, I like that one.
How long is that one?
That one's
Quite
about
long.
the same length.
70, 89. Yeah, 31 pages.
And we have the fall of the two kings. The Black Crow Fields, which is very popular.
And then To Defy a Dragon.
That one is so short. And the Black Mormare, I like that one. That one. Okay, we were basically writing almost a parody with that one. I'm sorry, but that one's almost a parody. Okay, we did subvert that. I say that, but like not really. But like, you just have the Black Mormare just trying to negotiate, and nobody wants to negotiate with them.
Nobody wants what?
To negotiate.
No,
negotiate.
It's because he's trying to negotiate a ransom, but because he's like, okay, I have the hostages. Well, we don't want to negotiate over the hostages. No, but I have the hostages. You have to negotiate with me. I don't want to. No, but like, listen, do you want these people or not? No. Well, I don't want them. And so it goes back and forth, and until it's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of them. And it's like, wait, I can't believe you killed them. It's basically the other character's reaction. I can't believe you killed those people. You know, the Black Mormare.
What did you want from me? I offered to them to you.
Like,
So why are you so shocked?
I think he even offered to pay them to take him back. Like, we just completely...
it's good to have comedy bits as well. That's great. That's good.
We just had more fun with that one.
But it shows some of the lunacy of some of these kings.
Yeah, it does. Man, like that one.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like Blackadder.
Yeah, it's a Blackadder moment. It is very.
Yeah, that's what I thought about. Oh,
the Black Mormare is basically, it's a Blackadder story for all intents and purposes.
That's good.
Then we have A Dagger in the Night. That one's sad. Okay, so we had a comedy. Then I think we have the most depressing story. Okay, I'm sorry, but that story was just, I remember people like online just saying that one was tragic. Like, what could have possessed you to write something like that? Why did you do that?
Which one?
That was the Dagger in the Night. I'm just going through them.
and that's one of the longest chapters.
Yeah, I think next time we do the Crown of Blood, we should only do In the Shadow of the Longwoods. This one I wrote a little more, but I did get a lot of assistance from Dan. So yeah,
It was one of those chapters where we'd write until we'd hit a wall, and then we'd send to the other.
Yeah, we did that with that one in Deaf and Hallowed Halls.
Yeah, and sometimes if we're really stumped, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What do you do when you're stumped?
Like Dan gets stumped, he sends the story to me. I get stumped,
right.
back to him, and he unclogs it, and then it bounces back and forth.
Yeah.
And then when we revise it, we smooth it, like as if it has wrinkles. And
that's definitely, you guys have an advantage there. You have two guys, can go back and forth.
Yeah. Although I will admit we got stuck quite often.
There are times where there has been times where here it is, both of us. How do we continue?
I remember that's what happened at least once with Einar, or twice, I think.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
No, but it's good you have you can come up with ideas with each other and see what sticks, what works, instead of yourself, because someone else can say I don't know if that really works. But if you're on your own, it's there's nobody saying anything, so you just go with it.
Yeah, that definitely has happened. And in the Shadow of the Longwoods, we took a different part of Macbeth with that one. We really did we split the Macbeth thing into two, sort of. I thought that was a good idea. But the fall of the two. But I can't wait for Deaf and Hallowed Halls.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I really like that one. I really do.
It's one that I do go back to read.
Narcissist.
Hey, you're the narcissist. You like that one.
Yeah, but I've not read it in months. I've not touched it. Yeah, that's one which I have to admit that one is kind of funny, but also kind of tragic and horrifying. And it just gets comedic with how many people just try to take advantage of Domhnall. just last person in the room. Just so many people just go, I'm the last person in the room. I'm going to give him advice. He'll agree with me. And you just have a rotation of people trying to do that until you just have Brother Andrew just walks in and goes,
you know what?
No. No.
This doesn't work. Stop this.
Yeah, but we can't get into
Which
that.
Domhnall?
The son of Ringen. He makes a comeback.
Okay.
But the next story is about Dweeb. In the Shadow of the Longwoods, it involves
He's a real dweeb.
Dweeb MacRingen.
The youngest of Ringen's sons.
And
all right. I think that's it for the for the stories.
Yeah.
This time.
Yep. We'll pick up another time.
On the next two. Thanks for everyone for watching, and you guys can go and buy it on Amazon. I saw it's on sale there. It's on sale there. It's like $1
Kindle.
or something.
Yeah,
it's like
Kindle.
$1. So
yep, you can get it for a single $1 on Kindle, but on paperback it's still $25.
Yes, it feels better having the copy in your hands.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it always is. It's
So
cooler to have the book.
also, don't forget to subscribe to World of Conan if you haven't already, because his channel is just really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So until next time, toodles.
All right.
And
See you
take
guys.
care.
Take care. Bye.